Another thing we can look at are people's overall style of communicating when they're in a conflict. So there are 4 basic styles of communicating. The first one is passive. So a passive communicator fails to assert things for themselves, allows others to deliberately or inadvertently infringe on their rights. So you let people kind of have more of you than you really are comfortable with. Fail to express their feelings, needs, or opinions, and tend to speak softly or apologetically, and sometimes exhibit less eye contact and less assertive physical body positions, like less nonverbal assertiveness. So the impact of passive communication is that it can sometimes make you feel anxious because your life seems kind of out of control. Sometimes depressed because they feel like they're stuck and kind of hopeless, and sometimes resentful. So we talked about different communication strategies and how sometimes surrender is appropriate. Passiveness would be an overall communication style. So if you have a passive communication style, then habitually you surrender, and habitually you don't speak out for yourself, and that's just passive. The second one is passive aggressive. Passive aggressive, well, let's do aggressive second. Aggressive is a style where an individual expresses their feelings and opinions and advocates for their needs in a way that violates the rights of others. In other words, you dominate. You're not too concerned with the other person. And this style can be kind of abusive, a bit of a bully, a little bit. And if this is your overall communication style, then falling into the category of a bully or being called, overbearing, a little bit of a bully. So, and everybody does all 4 of these a little bit sometimes. We're talking about like overall styles. So aggressive communicators will try to dominate others, use humiliation and control others, criticize, blame, or attack others, be very impulsive, have a low frustration tolerance, speak in a loud, demanding, and overbearing voice, act threateningly and rudely, not listen well, interrupt frequently, use a lot of you statements, and have piercing eye contact and overbearing posture. So the impact of a pattern of aggressive communication is that these people can become alienated from others and alienate others, push other people away, generate fear and hatred in others, so other people are afraid of them and hate them. And an aggressive communicator always blames others instead of owning their own issues and not taking responsibility. So you might hear an aggressive communicator say or behave like, I am superior, I am right, you're inferior, or you're wrong, I'm loud and bossy and pushy, I can dominate and intimidate you, I can violate your rights, I'll get my way no matter what. Whereas like a passive communicator that we talked about just a second ago is more like, I'm unable to stand up for my rights here, I don't know what my rights are, I get stepped on by everyone, I'm unable to take care of myself, people never consider my feelings. And then there's a combination of the two, which is passive aggressive. That's the third style. So passive aggressive is a style in which individuals appear passive on the surface, but are really acting out anger in subtle, indirect ways behind the scenes. So people who develop a pattern of passive-aggressive behavior usually feel pretty powerless and stuck and not able to stick up for themselves openly, and so the anger comes out kind of crooked, kind of hidden and underneath. So a passive-aggressive person might mutter to themselves a lot rather than confronting out loud a person or an issue. They have difficulty acknowledging their anger. Are you angry? No, I'm not. I'm not really, no. But then they act angry. They use facial expressions that don't match how they feel. They use a lot of sarcasm, deny that there's a problem, appear cooperative but purposely do things to annoy or disrupt, and use subtle sabotage sometimes. The impacts of a passive-aggressive communicator is that they become alienated from the people around them, and they stay stuck in a position of powerlessness. And they never really get to the real issues that are bothering them. Their passive-aggressiveness comes out in little ways that don't really address the big issue of what the problem is for them. So the passive-aggressive communicator will say or behave like, I'm weak and resentful, so I sabotage, frustrate, and disrupt. I'm powerless to deal with you head on, so I must use like guerrilla warfare. I will appear cooperative, but I am not. So that's passive-aggressive. And then the fourth approach is an assertive communicator. So an assertive communicator clearly states their opinions and feelings and firmly advocates for their rights and needs without violating the rights and needs of other people. So assertive communicators have high self-esteem and they value themselves, their time, their emotional and spiritual and physical needs are strong advocates for themselves. Overall, this is a goal because it helps us stick up for ourselves, which is part of developing that self-esteem that we talked about in the beginning. It also helps to resolve conflicts if you're just open and truthful and you advocate for yourself without stomping all over other people. So this is a desirable thing to practice because most of us aren't just born as assertive communicators. It takes practice to speak up for yourself but not overrule, overdominate other people. And also, conflict is not something that we discuss regularly as a culture, as a society. And so there's not a tremendous amount of good modeling for conflict resolution or for assertive communication behavior. So you could probably think in your own experience of several experiences of the other three, of passive communication and conflict resolution, of a passive-aggressive communication and conflict resolution, and of aggressive communication and conflict resolution. So assertiveness, it's not like the overwhelming majority of people just walk around and have delicious, awesome, assertive behavior. This is something that we have to develop and practice and get good at, like riding a bike or taking notes or reading. So this is something that you're working on right now by taking this class. So assertive behavior is definitely a goal in life for all of us that we can all practice. So with assertive communicators, they will state their needs and wants clearly, appropriately, and respectfully, express feelings clearly, appropriately, and respectfully, use I statements, communicate respect for others, listen well without interrupting, feel in control of themselves, have good eye contact, speak in a calm and clear tone of voice, have a relaxed body posture, feel connected to others, feel competent and in control, not allow others to abuse or manipulate them, and stand up for their own rights. In the beginning, when there's a situation we know we're going to be in and we want to be assertive, but we are not practiced at it yet, it helps to actually practice what you're going to say. It helps to think first about things that you can say. It also sometimes helps to have a few phrases that you like to use when you feel like you're going to become aggressive or passive aggressive. So it helps to have practice. So when the impact of assertive communication is that people feel connected to others, they feel in control of their lives, and they're able to mature because they address issues and problems that arise. So you can work through issues and then move on. That helps you grow. So it also helps to create a respectful environment for others to grow and mature. So it helps other people grow. The assertive communicator will say and believe and behave in these ways. We are equally entitled to express ourselves respectfully to one another. I am confident about who I am. I realize I have choices in my life and I consider my options. I speak clearly and honestly and to the point. I can't control others, but I can control myself and my reaction to them. I place a high priority on having my rights respected. I am responsible for getting my needs met in a respectful manner. So I am responsible for getting my needs met. So one of the things that often leads to conflict is the idea that you need the other person to act in a certain way in order for everything to be okay. So with assertive communication, we recognize that you can't control the other person. You can only control how you react to their behavior. And that's a huge shift in thinking for most people, because usually we just want them to act the right way so that things will be better. And they just don't understand, right? And sometimes people can be there for each other like that, but sometimes not. And so it's all about how you choose to react to the other person, not about making them be the way you want them to be. I respect the rights of others. Nobody owes me anything unless they've agreed to give it to me. So this is recognizing what coercion looks like and what taking looks like so that you don't do it. I'm 100% responsible for my own happiness. That's just a mind shift that most of us have a hard time making. I am responsible for my own happiness. Most often in conflicts, we see each other trying to get the other person to behave in a way so that I can be happy. If you would just do this, then I could be happy. So the idea that the responsibility for your happiness lies in you changes conflicts. So if you can see that, that really changes conflicts. And we're going to also talk about some strategies for assertive communication and conflict resolution.